There's a lot of things behind it, you know, trying to go by the lips, trying to do digital arts with the lips, and a lot of people have issues with digital arts, especially young prodigies who really want to get into it. They think they have to get the perfect tool. Okay, so you don't have to get the perfect tool when you're trying to work on digital arts, right? You just have to start doing it. You just have to start doing it, and then in doing it, you need to select some tools available for you. For instance, there's Photoshop, there's Krita, there's um, Clip Studio, and a lot more. Um, Programs or applications that can be used in digital arts. So you need to decide on what you're gonna use. I'm using Photoshop right now. I have Krita, I have all the digital arts, you know, kind of tools and everything. You get it. So um, it depends. It depends. So I'm actually doing a 100-day challenge where I actually take myself through some digital art things, and I'm kind of spending like 5 minutes each day. 5 minutes each day, or let's say 10 each day before I actually start work. Do some digital artworks, and then before I actually, get my hands on stuff. So this is the lips, and I started doing the lips. So I'm actually gonna do another work. I didn't finish up because I need to keep on doing stuff. So I'm gonna start all over again with something else. All right. So with this one, I have certain references from Pinterest that I'm actually gonna follow. I need to set I need to set things up. All right. So I have this layer created, and I need to set my brush, dark, some kind of gray, and then the size I'm gonna reduce it to about 6. Then I maintain it here, you know. So first of all, I need to do the layout, that is drawing the lips itself. Right, drawing the lips itself. So I'm not using a mouse. I can do it with a mouse, but I'm going to have a lot of difficulty when it comes to speed. So I'm using a Wacom tablet, the Pro, the medium. I know it's expensive, but you can get yourself some of the cheap ones, which has quality. So I'm actually going to draw the lips. As you can see, yeah, like that. So I'm not looking for anything perfect, but I'm just trying to draw the lips. So sometimes I would say that sometimes in doing certain digital artworks, you need to consider what you're really doing. Is it towards a feminine side or a masculine side? So is it for a feminine side, you should know how to work on certain perspective. You can't really get the perfection, but you need to kind of picture certain things in your eyes, because females will have some kind of extreme body parts, and then males will have some other extreme body parts also. Right. So let me clean this. As I said, you don't need. I started with a mouse. I started with a mouse. Um, I started with a mouse, so you can also start with whatever you want to start with. Okay, and you can do it. You just, or you can. Earlier I started with a trackpad, and I was really suffering because I end up with my wrists hurting me that bad. Oops, my lap, My laptop battery is down. Then I switched to the computer mouse, which I used for a longer time, longer period. In fact, with Paint application, yes, I remember. I was very young at that time. Is it Windows Vista or Windows XP? Something like that. Windows XP. Then, yeah, I think we were using Windows Vista in school, but at home I was using Windows XP. Could be turned on. Okay. So I started with the. In fact, I was using Pentium. Was it Pentium 3? Pentium 3 then. I think Pentium 3 or Pentium 4. I don't know. I've forgotten. So I'm done with the layouts, and the next thing I have to do is that I have to create a new file. Now, I see a lot of designers, people using Wacom, and then they kind of put it on the table, and their computer screen is far from them. I advise you don't do that. Most of the times, if you're using a digital tablet, put it on your laptop, the surface of your laptop. You can literally work while it's on the surface of your laptop. So your keyboard is missing now. Then you can be working with it. So that's what I do normally, so that I can have an easy flow and an easy work output. If you do not know how to draw, you don't have to force yourself that much. You need to start with small things, right? There's a lot of ways to draw lips. At the easiest way, like there's easiest ways of drawing lips, yeah. So some work with circles, right? Yeah, they work with circles. So some artists will kind of draw a circle here, draw another circle here, draw another circle in the middle, draw another circle here, draw another circle here, and then they just join them and include certain parts. That's very smart and intelligent, though, if you want to work that way. But I'm not a person. I don't work that way. So the step 2 is that we need to find our base colors, right? So I like finding my base colors by putting up some rectangles like this, like color palettes, right? Or the base colors are like the colors at which you base on to. I call them base colors because you literally base on them to develop your stuff, right? So it's like the basis of everything. Alright, I'll be given. This is extreme too much. Okay, let me get it a bit deeper. Okay, then I pick up a different color. That is, I'm literally referencing from Pinterest. I pick my inspirations from Pinterest. Yes, I don't worry myself a lot like a lot of people do, where they kind of try to prove they are so smart and they want to do everything off it. As a designer, or digital artist, you need to have some point of reference, because you can't tell me that everything is really off it. Even if you do imaginative drawing, your imaginative drawings are based on real things, like in existence, something that is really in existence. I'll be getting, yeah, because yeah. So I kind of got my base colors, and I have to group them. I have to group my base colors. And so I'm actually going to select these ones, and I'll group them. Oh god, group them, and I'll call them colors, palette. If I'm wrong with the spelling of palette, forgive me though. And I'll call this drawings, right? And I'll put in the group drawings. Let me give this base. Right, so all my drawings will go in here, so I have to create another, I call it colors, right? So this will be my colors. I need to create a new group, and I'll say colors, so that I can actually know which I'm supposed to work in and put certain layers in. You understand? So my colors, I'm putting them beneath. So I'm going to start with this. Yeah. I'm going to zoom in a bit on my screen. So normally I stream on Twitch and other platforms. I try to teach people how to for free. I don't take any money because people need to learn. You understand? So I need to start painting, and with painting, what I'm gonna do is that I'm actually gonna pick up my brush to increase my brush size. I'm actually gonna maintain this. I don't use any special brush here, but I'm just gonna maintain this or any of them. So probably this or any. So um, I can go with anything I prefer. Yeah, anything I prefer. Okay, so if I pick up this and I can start painting with um, so I can actually separate this ones, right? I'm gonna put this one to be the skin. So let me say call the skin, right? And with the skin, I'm actually gonna pick up this color. I'm gonna change my colors to this, right? And I'm going to paint over everything here. I really don't like this brush. I have to change the brush. It's kind of water-like pen. I don't like it, so I need to change it and then use this. So I call this um, what do you call it? Hello. Yeah. Star 530 hash. I don't know. It's been a long time since I used Vodafone, so yeah. Okay, so I put up my base. Right, you can see that I'm having my base around like that. You don't have to worry because you're just trying to put up the skin. So this is the skin. So we assume this is the skin, right? I'm gonna zoom in a bit. So this is the skin, and you can see that my lines are inside. I can reduce the opacity small. I can reduce the opacity. You can see my lines inside, right? Good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have my lower lip and my upper lip, right? So I'm going to create another layer and call it lower lip, right? Right. So my inside my lower lip, I'm actually going to pick up this extreme color here. It seems so deep for me, but I'm going to reduce the brush a bit, and yeah, this I said it. This is really extreme. So let me change the color. The same thing. Let me change it a bit. Cool. Okay, it's too much. The pink is too much, but don't worry for learning purposes. Right. So let me change the brush quickly, and then have this on board. Um, sorry. Cool. Yeah. So I just have to just paint the lower lip like this. I don't have to really worry about trying to get the lines and blah blah blah. You understand? I just have to know that I have the lower lip. Then I have to get the upper lip. So I create another layer, and this one is going to be the upper lip, and I'll pick up the upper lip color, and I'll just start drawing over the lower lip. Yeah, so I have it. So as I said, you don't have to really worry much. All what is important is that you've been able to have your base colors, right? Yes, you can really reduce it at any time you want, and you can work on each of them. So I have my upper lip, whatever it is. Now the important thing now is for me to I've had colors over my upper lip, right? So I have the upper lip and lower lip. I have a quite idea of how the colors are going to be like. So the next thing I have to do is to add a blending layer or shadows. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to kill this and kill that. So I'm going to start from the lower lip, right? So I'm going to kill the upper lip so that I can actually focus on the lower lip. And then inside my lower lip, I can see the imaginary lines on it. So let me go to my drawings and select my and then pick up my brush and pick up my brush 6 or 7 any. So I can literally trace on it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to know where it is. Then that is what we're going to work with altogether. So now that we've gotten this, what we're going to do is that we need to I'm going to go by my drawings and create another layer and kind of let me reduce this much further to 3, and then kind of try to create my own shadow. So the shadows is going to be like something like this. The shadow is going to be like this. So all this area, all this section is going to be shadow. So a shadow of the lip, and I have to go beneath it and also create something that matches it like this. Right, I can clean this. Oh shit, I didn't decrease the size of my eraser. So the shadow is going to be within the zone, and the other shadow is also going to be here. Alright, so that is what the shadow is going to be like. So you can decide on how you actually going to make your shadows. Okay, let me put up the eraser. Let me reduce the eraser size. You are the custodian. You need to create some style, how you want it to feel like. Okay, I want it to drop this way, the shadow drop this way, right? Instead of the other side. So now you can see that here will be some kind of underlying stuff here, another shadow kind of underlying beneath here, right? Good. So I can start painting. I can literally start painting. So I'll go into the colors, and I'll just create another layer which will be for shadow. Which will be for shadow. So what I'm gonna do for the shadow is very simple, not quite very simple. I'm literally gonna increase my brush a bit. Okay, then I'm going to pick up the same color, then reduce it. Yeah, then I'm going to reduce it. Then I can have my shadow. I'll carefully paint over. I'm literally having to run a lot of things on my system, so my system is really running slow. I need to close with the stuff. Plenty stuff. Oh, I have my command line running. So I'm using Mac, and I love using Mac because of the resolution. When you compare Apple's resolution to other machines, you can see that Apple was actually great for graphics, I have a dedicated graphic. I have dedicated graphics. So a lot of you who think that Apple's not good for graphic stuff, yeah, come on. My RAM is 16 gig RAM. I have a RAM of 16 gig, and I have a dedicated graphic. Yeah, I run on an i7 MacBook. Yeah, it's because I'm streaming with a very stressful streaming software. That is why at a certain points the machine is kind of dragging its feet. So you can see literally I'm shading the the areas that I feel like it should be um, shadowy. So you can see that I'm doing that exactly. I'm trying to trace inside. Okay. So you can clearly see that it's looking weird because it's will look weird. We are not done. We are not done. So it's going to really look weird. But at the end of the day, when I started taking off certain things, you see that it will catch up. Hold on, I have to close some applications. Good. So if if I'm supposed to take out the shadowy lines, you can see that we have something here quite interesting. So I can get the freedom to kind of work it out. In fact, digital arts really pays if you really skilled. I know you have to spend a lot of time working on digital arts. You have to spend a lot of time. But if you really eager to do it, if you give yourself time, you're actually going to successfully do it. So I'm actually going through it. I'm taking my time with it. I don't have the perfect of brush, but I'm trying my best to make sure I use the easiest and simplest things, because I want you guys to understand that it's not about the tool, it's not about the items you don't have, it's about you. If you don't have the skill, you can do it. So I'm using the least things as possible. I could have used Krita, I could have used some plugin brushes and other things, but I decided to use things that are available in Photoshop and the simplest things. I don't have to use the complicated things for you to see that it works if you're really ready to do it. So now I have to work on the upper lip now. Okay, so the upper lip, we can see that there's a piece of uh, upper lip that I've drawn into the lower lip, so I can start cleaning that aspect. Right, so I have to carefully do that gently. Let me reduce the size a bit of my eraser. Gently and carefully trying to erase a portion of the upper lip. So good. So we've been able to clean the parts that I've gotten into the lower lip, and you can see that if you take a look, you can see there's a portion that I've also gotten out of scale, so we can clean those that are out of scale. Good. um, so you can see I'm carefully trying to remove the pieces or the parts that have actually gone away into the places that was not supposed to have. So I'm literally going to stick with this piece so that I can cleanse it well. Cool. Oh shit. So animation, yes. If you're really good at drawing, it doesn't mean you'll be good at animation. Because animation deals with a lot of how do you call it? Um, you having to really know what you're really doing. You understand? There's a different skill when it comes to animation. There are a lot of people that are um, digital artists that cannot do animation because animation is really tedious. Imagine you having to draw several times over and over and over and over and over and over. Like it's crazy, you understand? So now we need to go back to the lower lip and try to remove also the excess. Okay, so I'm gonna take my time and go through this place. I have to increase my brush. So I'll do as part of my digital arts journey. Um, I'll be doing animation also. Yes, 2D animation. I'll be doing 2D animation like step by step. You understand? Yeah. I mean step by step. I mean the animation process, everything, everything. So I'll be using a software called OpenTunes for the animation. Yes, I'll be using. You can search it online. OpenTunes for the animation. Okay, cool. So at least we can have a pictorial view of if we can zoom out and zoom in to see what we're really doing and how it's gonna go. Everything is a process, right? So we've now been able to kind of have identify our shadows. We're trying to clear some lines, and try to position our lips well. Right, good. So the next thing is to do blending, right? We need to blend the shadow. Okay, we need to blend the shadow. Okay, so I'm coming to my shadow and we need to blend. Okay, we need to start blending the shadow. But I need to get my shadow perfect. Well, a bit perfect, not that really perfect, but a bit perfect. So I'm actually going to intentionally draw with the shadow line. I'm going to pick up and draw an imaginary shadow here with the same color. Try to make it a bit perfect. So you see, I'm not using any special kind of brushes, just the normal Photoshop brushes. But on a normal day, if you get a work, right, a proper work, try not to use um, what do you call it? Try not to use any kind of brush. Try to get your hands on better brush, right? Some a better brush, right? So I'm trying to go over the shadow again. Now, this is a trick that I use in doing my blending for some basic stuff like this. I pick up the eraser too and I select this round soft brush, right, or any of these ones, right. Then what I do is that I try to erase certain portions. It will make it feel like it's furthered. Then I kind of reduce the opacity a bit. Then I can pick up the same brush, increase it, go down, pick up the same thing, right. Then what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, just over it again like this. So it seems like it's clearing, but it's not really clearing. I'm blending it. So I can even increase the opacity a bit so that you guys see what I'm doing. So you can see it's not rigid at the tips. So it's like I'm trying to blend it in a way. I have to reduce the size a bit. Yeah, so I've been able to blend at the other side. So those who want to get into gaming, you can hire, you can learn digital arts, try to anim you work on stuff yourself and then you roll on. I'll forget it. Now we need to add a lip border. Okay, we actually we've worked with our blending, but I see the tip of our upper lip is not really that fine. Okay, we understand it's not really that fine. We are not focusing on that. We're trying to finish one step and go to another step, then come back to another step. I'll get it. Good. And so what we're going to do is that we need to kind of increase the darkness in between the side, right. We need to create some borders around the lips. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to draw again. I'm going to create a new layer to identify um, our points where we actually going to put some darkness, right. Yeah, a form of so let me reduce this one. Yes. And so what we're going to do is that we're just going to draw areas where we can put extra stuff like this place. Okay, this whole region we can have stuff here. At this whole region we can darken this whole region. We can darken the lips here, all this region here. All of this place we can darken. So the ladies that have been doing this makeups, right, would really get what I'm doing, right. So all this place can be darkened, and we need a difference. We need to increase our brush a bit so that we can cover a lot of surface area, right. So I'm going to come here into my colors, then I'll create another shadow, and I'll call this one probably shadow B. So I'll call this area shadow B. Then I'll start ramping up lightly, not much, just small. I need to reduce my brush size. So gradually we are heading towards the points that we really want. But you know, this zone should be extra darker than the upper lip, right? So I need to make it extra darker so that we can see the variation, the contrast, right? So I have to create the contrast wall. Ah. Okay. 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 So you can see there's a bit variation between these two, and so we need to create that same variation here, like something like a curve, right? So it's going to be on top of the upper lip. So we create another layer on top of the upper lip. Then we create that variation here. Right? Then we can start working on our border. Then the curve. So anytime you're walking, you can be checking these ladies that do makeup. You see that they kind of put pencil around. Yeah, especially the black pencil, right? So deepen this section. So I'm gonna clean this one with the eraser. Good. So that we can have our brush. Good. So we're still working on it. We're trying to picture things in our heads. Right. So we need to deepen it. So I'm going to change the brush a bit. To something okay for me. I'm going to reduce it size. So more like I'm drawing over it. So I've gone outside the line. I have to undo. That's crazy. So imagine me having to suffer much with the drawing tablets because my battery is running low, and so if imagine you're supposed to work with a mouse, it's going to be crazy, extra crazy. So you can see that here I'm trying to create a border, right? I'm trying to create a border around the lips. it. So we are almost close to making the magic happen. So if you look at the previous work, you can see this. I stopped, right? We created a borderline. We tried to put some light in our post, and I started something new here, right? So if you take a look at this, it's a bit different because here I really want to teach how the other things are done. So we need to have this curvature, this kind of curve that we have here. We need to have the same kind of here. So we can create the curve here, and then put another curve. Oh, that's too much. Okay, now we are halfway through. We are halfway, not fully, but halfway. We still have to put some emphasis on our artwork from here. Alright, so we need to have something like that there. And so, as I said, you need to be imagining a lady with makeup, right? So you imagine that perspective and then you use it in your works. You need to have always references, right? So you can see that the lips at this point, they try to put a lot of dark stuff there. Cool. Now, the next thing is for us to put on some lightning, right? We need to put on some lightning, okay? Good. So, lightning, we need to be careful how we put on the lights. Cool. So, we can have some lights flare at the lips here, at this region of the lips, and some too at this region of the lip. And so, for that reason, we need to pick this color and then increase it a bit, the lighten, right? Then we can change the brush to like this one here. Then we can have something like this here. Cool. And we have the same replication here. Cool. Now we need to put the same replication within the zone. Right? We should make it feel, yeah. Yeah, and then we're going to put a lot of emphasis on here. So I'm going to create another layer on top of this layer. I'm going to pick up another lighter aspect of the pink and I'll put it on top here, right? So I'm going to decrease this one, like the pencil tip, and I have this here. So I can go in for extra light like this. and I'll put it on it. I'll put extra something here. Okay, then here to same like a curve. Right, then this one to a curve coming down. So I'm going to reduce the size to about 3 is okay. So it has this pencil feel from here. Yeah, this one can continue on this perspective. Then we can darken the side again. So we want to make it feel glossy or glass-like. You understand? So we create another edge here. Cool. Good. Then we need to make sure we work on our upper lip, right? But as I said, we need to finish up with a certain part of our lower lip, and then we can go to the upper lip, right? Now, if you take a look at our lower lip, right? Okay, if you take a look at our lower lip, you know, the shadows, though it is there, we need to create extra shadow, much darker than the previous one that we have. We need to get something that is much darker, so we can have it here at this zone. So let's increase this a bit. Yep, and let's go this way. Alright, so let's darken it extra. Okay, let's go extra in the darkening. Let's increase this one a bit. Then we can change and drop the darkness extra. Then we reduce right, then we put it behind the other one, the previous one. Cool. Now we need to come back to the upper lip, right, and then resolve the previous things, right? We come here and we resolve these issues here. There's a blank something there. So with the upper lip, we need to come and create additional, right? Or we can use, yes, so let's create something else for the upper lip so that we can edit it later. My battery is really running slow, so sorry if there's a lag. So you can see that we closely, I'm trying to trace the previous drawings, the drawing line. So if I'm supposed to take off the drawings as our guidelines, you see it's going to look like this. Alright, but we need to work extra because we are not getting certain things right here, so we need to get it, especially with the upper lip, right? We need to darken this whole region. We need to really darken it. So we're going to pick up the same dark color here, and we're going to use 9.6. Okay, then we use this one. Then we're going to draw within that zone. Right. So now that we have this, we need to kind of try our best to create the color on top here. To let it go deep into the upper lip zone instead of the lower lip zone. Right. So we can see that the lower lip is some way somehow through to the point, but we've not completed the glossiness completely. You can see some glassy ass like it looks like someone's ass, you know. So it looks a bit glossy, but we are not really done with whatever we're doing. So we need to make sure that we kind of have what we really need to complete. That is trying to make sure we emphasize on the edges of the lips, making it smooth. If you check the lips carefully, you can see the edges are very sharp. Nobody's lips is that sharp. Everybody's lip is kind of curved and blunt in a certain way. These, if you look at it, is very sharp. So we have to correct all the sharpness and the glossiness. If you're looking at a perspective of the lip, right, at the far points, the lower lip is kind of cool, but if you get closer, you can see that there's a whole lot of things to be done, right? Yeah, so if I'm supposed to take it back like this, you can see that the lower lip is okay, but the upper lip, a lot of work to be done there. And so that is what I'm gonna do. So now we need to really work on things. Okay, so we need to start putting some lights here on this zone, okay, throughout this particular zone. And so we need to pick up a brush that is very provocative, like something that is really cool like this, and we're going to change it to this, and we increase it a bit, probably to this point, and then we can play around it like this. We can just keep doing that. Right. So trying to create that glassiness and glossiness at the upper lip, right? And in order for us to do that, we need to be very careful of how the reflection goes like, you know. We need to be very careful with the reflection, everything. We need to be very careful with everything. Yeah, so you can see that I'm trying to create some kind of glossiness within the upper lip, like here. You can start feeling that. I'm feeling it too. Making sure I don't overdo it. So I need to get extra white, something extra close to white, or even if it's white itself, to kind of lay extra emphasis here. Cool. And same for this side of the lip, trying to show curvature here, a curve. Right. So I'll make sure that I reduce this extra. Then I create some kind of sharpness here. And that sharpness, I need a white, an actual white to create that sharpness. Cool. So I think same with this. Cool. Um, Here too, I can create some kind of bounds here and here. So it's like that side is reflecting itself. You can feel that. I'm feeling that. I'm really feeling that. So it's like a feel of that side reflecting itself. Yes, so it makes it feel cool. I need to put some layer of uh, okay. Um, this is supposed to reflect this, but it's kind of far off. So we closely get into where we want to get to, though we are not there. So at this part of the lip, we need to create some kind of reflection here, right? We need to create some kind of reflection. So let me draw that reflection here. So we let it curve through this period to the other side, curving, then we stop. Okay, so I think I have exaggerated that side, so it means I have to work on that side also. And so what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to pick up that color within that area, and I'll just increase the brush, okay, to about 20 or 19. Then I'll work on. So let me reduce a bit. To make a blending. Oh, but so I'm trying to get a realistic lip, and you see the kind of pressure that I'm giving myself. So I'm trying to take my time so that I don't mess things up, because sometimes when you're getting close, you might feel certain places are not perfect or not right, and you might end up doing shitty stuff. So um, we are halfway through. I'm just trying to do a bit of touches at a certain point. So I'm on Twitch. I'm on Twitch. Yes, you can stream me sometimes on Twitch, most of the times. And the name on Twitch, I'm gonna share it on my screen though. Uh, those who know of, so the name on Twitch is this. Yes, those who want to follow me up on Twitch, the name on Twitch is Ochirichie. Right, capture of the leopard. So that's it. So putting up a realistic um, lip has a lot to do. So at least we now been able to do with the highlights and stuff. So now it's blending, trying to blend things in, trying to take things to the next level. You understand? So here we need to correct the lips, the edges. We need to correct it, right? We need to let it curve in and create certain things here. So as I said, it's a 100-day challenge, and so on the next stream, on our next live stream, I'm actually going to continue with correcting the lips and and stuff. We're trying to work on animation and other important stuff because I've crossed my limits today. I've crossed my limits. Approximately streamed for quite a number of periods. So you can see the lips is quite glossy, right? But the edges. So we can work on the edges. We can work on some additional stuff, right? So what we're going to do is we need to increase the base region, the base zone. Cool. Yeah. So I need to pick up this color again, create some additional layer to correct some important things. So this is actually going to help me correct certain mistakes. That is why I'm increasing the dark zones. Okay. It's going to help me correct some mistakes, right? So those of you who cannot use Photoshop on their system, if you can't use Photoshop on your system, there is Magma. You can use online, Magma. Okay, so you can use Magma online, and you can use Magma to do your design and stuff, right? Magma is very collaborative. It means that more than one person can be doing stuff on the same artboard. Yeah. So if you have Magma, you don't need Photoshop to do your art, because, or you don't need Krita or the paid softwares. That is if you can't purchase or run Photoshop on your machine. So I'm trying to make correction based on what I have. I'm trying to correct something. So the next time, if I'm supposed to continue, I'll be able to continue well. Okay. So next time I know how to work on stuff. Okay, so thank you guys for joining, and I really appreciate you guys. I know you guys can actually take time and then do your own stuff, so you can do your own work. Okay, so try to get your hands involved in some things that can really trigger you to really sit down and work. Don't do any kind of blunt things. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can literally work on stuff that can really trigger you. So that is it. I've worked on the glossiness, the glossy lips. I'm not done, but it's a 100-day challenge. As I said, every day we'll have, if we surpass the time, means that we need to work on some other extra things one day. And so the name is Ochichie. You can check it up on Ochichie. That is Catcher of the Leopard, right? You can get me live on Twitch, but now I'm streaming live on YouTube. Most of the streaming platforms, right? I'm on YouTube streaming. If you're watching me, probably watching me directly from YouTube or Twitch, or I don't know. Yeah, so there's a cheat here. So on Instagram, I'm not a cheat here. On Instagram, you can find Black Snow, right? Instagram, you can find Black Snow like this. Snow IO. Alright, and did I? Is it Snow IO or something? Oh, Profnet, etc., etc. So I'll do another live stream, and that one will be on animation. Okay. Okay. So enjoy your day and have glossy, glassy lips. Bye.